Alright, we're going to go over how to set up an FTP account in Control Panel, and then how to go to Dreamweaver and put that FTP account into there and be able to pull and push files from our web server. So we'll go ahead and we'll start out with, I'm using Rack Real Life. Of course you'll be using yours, and I'm logged into my Control Panel. So you should go ahead and get logged in there. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Files, and then I'm going to go to FTP Accounts, Set up and Manage FTP Accounts. In here is where all my FTP accounts to different places on my drive are listed. If you notice, each account is associated with a specific path. So when you log in with that user, it will take that user directly to that path and will not let them go any higher than that path. So it'll treat it like it's the root of their path. So what we want to do is we want to create a new user for myself at Rack Real Life. I'm going to go ahead and delete this user because that's the one I want to create. So pretty easy. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to click on Create a New FTP Account. And I'm going to use my name. And then I can select my subdomain or my domain that I would like to create an FTP account to. And in my case, it's Rack Real Life, and yours it'll be whatever subdomain or domain that is. And then I'm going to go ahead and enter a password. This allows us to browse out and actually change, if we wanted to go to a different path, we could actually go on our web server and go through our folders, and we could change it to somewhere else, or we could leave it at www, which would give us a view of all these folders. But what we want to do with this user is we want it specific to the production site of rackreallife.com, and so we'll go ahead and we'll select that folder, and then we'll go inside it and we'll hit select, and you'll see it's right there. By default, it'll go to the root of whatever subdomain or domain you pick, and then we're going to create our account. That's simple. So an easy little trick: go ahead and highlight the account you just created. Remember the password that you used, and copy that. That'll be all the information we need besides the password to go into Dreamweaver and set Dreamweaver up to connect to our web server. So I've just opened up Dreamweaver, and what we want to do in Dreamweaver is we want to go to Site. You can do Manage Site and do a new site, or you can just do New Site. We're going to Manage Site so that you're familiar with that window as well. And in on a Mac, it pops up like this essentially, and it says, which site do you want to manage, and we can actually open a site and work on it from here. What we do want to do is we want to create one, so we're going to say New. I got to keep pulling my dialog up here. And what we're going to do is give the site a name that we'll know exactly what we're dealing with. And actually, I have what I usually do is I just paste in my username, because I want to keep things as consistent as can be. So then the local site folder, that's the folder on your computer where any files that you create within the website or you pull down from the web server, they will be stored here on your server. And if you notice, I actually store mine on OneDrive because it's just one more step of backing up and redundancy. OneDrive actually synchronizes to my OneDrive terabyte drive that I get online with my educational 365 account. So, and I have a folder on there called Websites, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click to open a folder because I want to create a new folder for this website. And we're running a little slow here tonight. So I have some different ones in here, like www-Rack Real Life. I'm going to go ahead and just create one for this demonstration, and I'm just going to call it Rack Real Life. drop the .com, and I'm going to create it. When I create it, it takes me right inside that folder, so all I got to do is hit choose. And at this point, normally I'll save and then say done. And what it'll do is it'll actually start to update your site. And it'll open it up. So now you see we actually have Rack Real Life right here in our folder. It's actually a menu option up here, rackreallife.com. And so now what we want to do is we want to go back to manage sites. And we want to click on our site we just created, and we want to go to edit. So if you already had the site created and you're just trying to set up FTP, you would go to manage sites and then just click on your site and hit edit. And what we're after this time is actually the servers. We want to enter a server in that we know that we can use, and that connects to our web server. I mean. So if you notice, I named the server rackreallife.com because that's where we're connecting to. Our FTP address is built right into our username, so that's rackreallife.com as well. Put your username, paste it in there. If you copied it along with me, type it in there if you did not, and then of course your password. Once your password's in, it'll automatically save it. And it'll automatically populate the web URL to your website as well. At this point, we want to test it. Make sure we can connect. Our username is good. Our password is good. And hopefully, if all's well, you will get a connected you to your web server successfully. We'll click OK. We'll click Save. And we'll click Save again. At this point, you probably will get an alert, a dialog box that basically is saying they're going to recache. That means what they're doing is building a list of whatever is already there on your website to make it easier to search. So we'll say OK, and then we'll say done. So at this point, you can see my control panel window in the background, by the way. Let me move that out of the way if that's confusing to you. And let me go back to Dreamweaver. So at this point, we have our web server information in. I'm trying to make this window larger so we can actually take a look at it. And we can see that we're pointed to what's called the local drive, local view, which means it's the files that's on our machine. Now, because we set up our FTP server, we can go to remote. And what remote does, you'll see a dialog box come up probably, and we actually can see the folders out there on the remote server. So that's remote. This is local. No files on local right now. If I go to remote, and I right click on this and say get, or I click the green arrow and say get, it pulls the files down from the site for me. Well, wait a minute while it does that. So now we've pulled down this folder, and we're going to go back to the local view. And there you can see the folder. It's actually on our hard drive. And so if we were to change one of these files around, and we wanted to save it and push it back up to the server, or if we wanted to add a new file and push it up to the server, we would actually just use this blue, which says put. What you're doing is you're putting, right? Putting files to the server. When we pull them from the server, we're getting them from the server. When we put them to the server, we're putting them to the server. Hopefully that helps you out, and that'll conclude this wonderful episode of Push and Pull.